my position here. Like, I don't feel as secure as I did a week ago. Know if like the game plan I originally set out is going to happen.
Wedding is important to you, and obviously to find a common ground. Like eventually, like being married to you, like does not sound bad at all.
Listen, how do you say that we're gonna find a common ground when it comes to the marriage situation? It's either you want to get married to her or you don't. How do you say eventually being married to you? What? I mean, I get it. In some contexts, if somebody says eventually being married to you is a good thing, blah. In some contexts, yes, but in this context, it's not really a context where it really makes sense in a positive light. It's more like, you know, we're gonna find a common ground, you know, and like eventually we'll be married. But so you're telling me that we're gonna get married based on us finding a common ground? So does that mean we're only gonna get married because I want to get married, not because you want to get married to me? So we're gonna find a common ground of maybe when you're going to actually decide to propose to me? Like, yo, what the hell? None of that makes sense. Well, it does make sense. It makes sense in the most negative way possible. But hey, it seems to me as if he's saying things for the sake of saying things.
Married to you, like does not sound bad at all.
Yeah, and the eventually to me sounds like a kick in the teeth, but I now feel very much so like my back is against the wall. Like if I stay here, don't get into midwifery school at all, and then ultimately like give up my dreams and 2 weeks to decide.
I mean, here's the thing, you know, I'll be honest with you. I think when it comes to the whole giving up dreams and staying there, I'm going to say that she needs to take accountability for that, because it was clear that before she had obviously arrived to Iceland, she had never had a serious conversation with him about exactly what she expects. All these conversations seemed to have happened once she got there. And also on top of that, she never even did like the research that she needed to do to find out how she was going to become a midwife in Iceland anyway. So when it comes to all of her dreams, if those things have taken a step back or things don't go in the way that she wanted them to go to, she can't put that on him. She can only put it down on the fact that she did lack of research. She was expecting just to get there and things were just going to be like that. So really and truly, she has to look in the mirror for that one. Take accountability for the actions that you made in the situation.
2 weeks to decide to turn my tuition check in. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Do you feel if I didn't stay?
It just totally suck.
The guy went from, you know, eventually we'll get married, you know, so, yeah, to now, well, if you didn't stay, it will suck. At what point would you walk out? You know, at what point do you say, you know what, just don't worry about it, okay? You go do you and I go do me. It was good knowing you. Bye-bye. At what point? You know, because so far he's already given two opportunities for that to happen.
We would find a way, like, I mean, if you come back to Philly, like, we would visit each other every 3 weeks or something like that.
You understand fully, like.
He said we could be able to visit each other in 3 weeks or something like that. But listen, it can be doable, but boy, flying to Iceland isn't exactly cheap, and flying to the States isn't exactly cheap, to be honest with you. Now, if they were living in the same continent, different conversation. If you're both living in Europe, the flights are reasonably cheaper depending on where you're commuting from. If you're living in Africa, the flights kind of cheaper depending where you're living for. I mean, to be honest with you, it's crazy. Flying to any country in Africa is bloody expensive most of the time. And then even when you're in Africa, when you're trying to fly from countries in there, yeah, the price can be a bit steep still. Black tax, worst thing in the world, honestly. That's why I barely go. Extortion for no reason, yeah. But at the end of the day, these two are on two different continents. He's in Europe and she's in America. So therefore, that price of every 3 weeks, buddy, I don't know what kind of money you got. But if you got money like that, fair enough, you do you. But let's continue. But then at the same time, though, for somebody that he doesn't really care about marrying, is he really gonna spend the money to see her every 3 weeks? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's think about that.
How intense my school program is. Like 2 years, I'm gonna be like extremely busy. So I don't know if it's your optimism or what, but it seems like you're not even done that I'm saying like I might have to leave.
Listen, he's not even bothered with the fact that you're gonna have a course you need to do for 2 years. That's gonna be very, very it's gonna occupy a lot of your time. He was just like, oh. Well, in that case, it'd give me time to go out and down to some more other ladies and make friends. If you remember the scene, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't remember, then I guess that went over your head.
It's like a bit of a pickle.
I definitely feel really sad that Ingi's not fighting for me and saying like, I definitely want you to stay. I appreciate Ingi finally opening up and telling me, like, I am his person. He doesn't want me to leave. But it's also like, damn, dude, like...
Listen, the man went from not fighting for you, as you said, to then all of a sudden giving you reassurance that everything's going to be okay. Corona, are you paying attention to your relationship right now? Tell me you don't see the fact that this man is leading you on. He's adapting to what you're saying. Sometimes when people adapt to what you say, it can be for the good. But a lot of the times, it can be for the bad because they're just saying it just to shut you up and please you and just to keep you around for whatever benefits that they want from you. But hey, he'll wait to cry on anything. She believes that she's more intelligent than anybody else. Obviously, we'll see what happens next week at the tell-all because it seems as if Sean from Ireland, you know, the one with Joanne, obviously decides to lay into Iggy. He obviously lays into him for, but it seems, but the way it looks like, for obviously abusing, you know, Corona's time and pretty much not being upfront with her. I guess we have to wait and find obviously how that goes. But I will say this though. If it is the case where this man has obviously, you know, been taking advantage of her and all that kind of stuff in her time, well, as far as I'm concerned, Corona has to still take a form of accountability behind it. Why? Simple, because she went to Iceland without properly vetting their relationship. If you remember, the first day that she got there, she was trying to unpack her clothes. This man had no space in the wardrobe for her. He had made no room for her in any kind of way. When she got there, it was as if he wasn't even expecting to even be coming. That right there was the first sign of, oh, she should have had her back up against the wall at that point. She should have been like, okay, But then at the same time, before she even went there, she should have known based on the conversation that they had and obviously the fact that this guy is always he's always quite, you know, lacks enthusiasm and, you know, everything is always just a joke. Doesn't really want to take many things seriously, downplays everything. But she decided to let all these signs go over her head. She decided to still continue and pursue his relationship. And this is why she is where she's at right now. And this is why people have to stay alert and pay attention to what is happening. Because when you don't pay attention, this is what happens. You end up feeling used. You end up feeling less than. To make it worse, the person that you've given the power to, just be lucky that person doesn't go over the board with the power that you've given them over you. But hey, let me know what you're thinking down below and we'll talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.